You are the most dangerous person in every room you walk into. You just do not know it yet. And the people who do know it, the ones who have been feeding off your sensitivity for years, they are terrified you might figure it out. This video is them being right to be terrified. Let me tell you what you are. You are a detection system disguised as a person. You walk into a room and you feel the argument that happened before you arrived. You sense the lie before it finishes leaving their mouth. You know when someone's smile is a mask, and when their kindness has conditions, and when the energy shifted and no one else seems to notice. You absorb data that other people do not even know exists. And what have you done with this? You have apologized for it. You have medicated it. You have let every manipulator in your life convince you it was a malfunction instead of a gift. They told you that you were too sensitive, too emotional, too much. They told you to stop reading into things, to give people the benefit of the doubt, to calm down, to not be so dramatic. And you believed them. You turned down the volume on the only part of you that was actually trying to protect you. You calibrated yourself to miss every lie that mattered because the people telling the lies convinced you that noticing them was the problem. Think about how insane that is. You have a gift, a neurological capacity that most people do not have, and you were trained to treat it like a disease, like something that needed to be managed, suppressed, apologized for, like your ability to sense what others miss was the problem, rather than the single most valuable tool you could possibly possess in a world full of people who want something from you. Congratulations, you have been successfully domesticated, defanged, disarmed, the most perceptive person in the room trained to distrust their own perception. I am going to undo that, but not gently. Gentle is what got you here. Gentle is the voice they used when they told you your instincts were wrong. Gentle is how they sound when they need you to stop noticing things. What I am about to give you comes from two sources that have never been combined before. The first is Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, who mapped the parts of your mind you are not allowed to see. The second is Baltasar Gracián, a 17th-century Jesuit priest who survived the most dangerous political environment in Europe by learning to read everyone in the room before they finished their first sentence. Jung understood why you miss lies. Gracián understood how to see them. Together, they create something I call the Machiavellian empath. I am going to tell you what that means, but not yet. First, I need you to understand exactly how you were compromised. Not in general terms. In specific, surgical, this is exactly how they did it to you terms. Subscribe, because what comes next is going to reorganize how you see every relationship you are currently in. And if you leave before I show you the protocol, you will spend another decade apologizing for the thing that should have made you untouchable. Hit the button. Here is the question that should keep you up at night. If your detection system is so good, if you can feel lies, sense danger, read rooms, why do you keep getting destroyed by people who are not even that clever? The narcissist who played you was not a genius. The manipulator at work is not running sophisticated operations. The person who gaslit you for years was using tactics a child could see through. So why did you miss it? Why do you keep missing it? The answer is not that you are stupid. The answer is not that you are too trusting. The answer is something far worse. Something that was done to you before the manipulators ever arrived. Something that made you the perfect target. Carl Jung spent his career studying the parts of the mind that operate below conscious awareness. He called one of these parts the shadow, everything about yourself that you have rejected, denied, and pushed into the basement of your psyche. Every trait you find unacceptable, every impulse you consider shameful, Every capacity you have convinced yourself you do not have. Most people think the shadow is where the bad stuff goes. The anger, the aggression, the selfishness, the cruelty, the parts of yourself that do not match the person you want to be. But Jung discovered something that changes everything. The shadow does not just contain your vices, it contains capacities, powers, traits that are not evil but simply uncomfortable, things you were taught to reject that you actually need. And one of those things for people like you, the sensitive ones, is the capacity for strategic self-interest. Let me translate that into language that will actually land. You were taught that putting yourself first is selfish, that protecting yourself is cold, that setting boundaries is mean, that withholding information is dishonest, that strategic thinking is manipulative, that looking out for yourself is something only bad people do. So you pushed all of that into the shadow. You rejected self-protection as incompatible with being a good person. And now you have no defenses. You gave them away to prove you were kind. You dismantled your own security system to demonstrate you were not a threat. And the people who watched you do this, the predators, the manipulators, the ones who were paying attention, they saw exactly what you were. Not a good person, a vulnerable one. Kindness without boundaries is not kindness. It is an invitation. But here is the part that should make your blood run cold. Jung found that the traits you reject in yourself become invisible in others. The qualities you refuse to see in yourself are the qualities you cannot recognize when someone else deploys them against you. Read that again, let it sink in. The capacity for manipulation that you have disowned, the strategic self-interest, the cold calculation, the willingness to use people you cannot see it coming because you have banished it from your psychological vocabulary. The liar walks into the room radiating exactly the traits you have convinced yourself do not exist, and your perception edits them out in real time. Your unconscious mind looks at them and says, that cannot be what I am seeing, because I do not have that, so they cannot either. You are not naive because you are stupid. You are naive because your own shadow is providing cover for the enemy. The manipulator is not hidden from you by their skill. They are hidden from you by your own psychology. Your blind spot is not an accident. It is a direct consequence of your refusal to acknowledge that you, too, have teeth. That is why their lies work. Not because you are too trusting, because your distrust has been amputated. You cut off the part of yourself that could recognize predators, and now you wonder why you keep getting eaten. Think about the last person who played you. Picture their face right now. I want you to actually do this. See them clearly. Now ask yourself, did you see warning signs that you dismissed? Did your gut fire at some point before the betrayal and you told it to shut up? Did you give them the benefit of the doubt when something felt wrong? Did you explain away behavior that made no sense because the alternative that they were doing it deliberately was too uncomfortable to accept? That instinct was not paranoia. That was your detection system working perfectly, and you overrode it because you were trained to believe that your perception was the problem. The manipulators in your life did not defeat your defenses. They convinced you to take them down yourself. They did not break into the fortress. They convinced you that fortresses were unkind, and you opened the gates to prove you were a good person. That is the real betrayal, not theirs, yours against yourself. And if that makes you angry, good. Anger is the appropriate response. Anger means you are starting to see what was done to you. Channel it. Drop a comment. Name one capacity you rejected in yourself that you now realize you need. Do it now. The man scrolling at 2 in the morning needs to see he is not the only one who was trained out of his own defenses. Now, Gracián. Baltasar Gracián was a Spanish Jesuit priest who lived in the 17th century. If that sounds like an unlikely source for strategic genius, you do not know the 17th century Spanish court. Cardinals plotting assassinations, nobles destroying each other through whisper campaigns, a king surrounded by men who smiled at him while positioning knives for his back. Gracián survived. More than survived, he thrived. He became confessor to powerful men, which meant he heard every secret, knew every scheme, understood exactly who was planning to betray whom. And when he retired, he wrote down everything he had learned in a book called The Art of Worldly Wisdom. 300 maxims, each one a compressed lesson in reading people, detecting deception, and navigating a world where everyone has an agenda they are not telling you about. The book was so dangerous that his own religious order censured him. They silenced him. They transferred him repeatedly to get him away from anyone who might listen. And the book became one of the most influential texts on strategy ever written. Schopenhauer adored it. Nietzsche called it Europe's finest book on moral subtlety. Every serious student of power has read it and taken notes. You have not. And that is why people keep lying to your face without consequences. I am going to give you 3 of Gracián's maxims. The 3 that will permanently change how you hear every conversation for the rest of your life. Maxim 1. Know how to be all things to all men. Gracián wrote, "Be learned with the learned, saintly with the saints. Adapt your style to match the person you are dealing with. Do not show the same face to everyone." Most people read this as advice on social flexibility. Be a chameleon. Fit in. That is the naive reading. The tactical reading is this. Everyone else is already doing this to you. Everyone you meet is adjusting their presentation to get something from you. They are matching your energy, mirroring your values, presenting a version of themselves calibrated to your expectations. They figured out what you want to see, and they are showing you exactly that. And you naive, sensitive, wide open, you are presenting the same face to everyone. You are giving everyone the same access. You are showing your cards to people who are keeping theirs hidden. You are playing poker against professionals while announcing your hand out loud. And then you wonder why you keep losing. Gracián is not telling you to be fake. He is telling you that everyone else already is. Wake up, match the game, or keep getting played. Maxim 2. Do not show your wounded finger. Gracián wrote, "Never reveal your vulnerabilities. Make people think you are invulnerable, and veneration will follow. If they think you can be wounded, they will test that theory. You do the opposite. You show your wounded finger to everyone. You share your insecurities on the first date. You tell your coworker about your childhood trauma. You explain your anxieties to people you barely know because you have been told that vulnerability is strength and openness is courage, and authenticity means letting everyone see exactly where you bleed. The manipulator catalogs every wound you show them. They file it. They wait. And when they need leverage, when they want compliance, when they need to destabilize you, when they want you to shut up and stop asking questions, they reach into the archive and press exactly the spot you told them about. Your openness is not intimacy. It is reconnaissance you are handing to the enemy for free. Here is the thing nobody tells you about vulnerability. Vulnerability with the right person is intimacy. Vulnerability with the wrong person is ammunition. And you cannot tell the difference on the first conversation, or the 5th, or sometimes even the 20th. Gracián is not telling you to become cold. He is telling you that trust is earned, not given. You do not hand someone the map of your vulnerabilities before they have proven they will not use it against you. You watch, you observe, you test with small things before you give them anything significant. The wounded finger, the deep pain, the real vulnerability is shared only with people who have proven over time and under pressure that they are safe. That is not paranoia, that is wisdom, and the difference between the two is why you keep getting hurt. Maxim 3. Know how to use evasion. Gracián wrote, "The most practical kind of knowledge lies in what appears to be passive inattention, letting things pass. To take no notice is often the best notice." Manipulators bait you. They throw provocations designed to make you react. They test your boundaries. They make comments that are technically ambiguous but emotionally charged, things you cannot prove were meant the way you felt them, things that will make you look paranoid if you respond. And you respond every time, because you were trained to engage, to clarify, to make sure everyone understands, to never let things fester. You catch the bait, and you engage, and you defend, and suddenly you are in a conversation. You did not start about a topic you did not choose, and you have given them exactly what they wanted: your attention, your energy, your emotional engagement. The Machiavellian empath does not catch the bait. They see it coming, and they let it fall. They notice the provocation, file it as information, and do not react in any way that gives the manipulator data. The manipulator throws a test and gets nothing back. No defense, no clarification, no engagement. Just a flat silence that forces them to wonder what you are thinking. That silence is devastating. Because manipulators need reaction. They need to see what lands. They need feedback to calibrate their next move. And when you give them nothing, they are operating blind. Try it this week. The next time someone throws a baited comment, a passive-aggressive question, a subtle dig, an accusation disguised as a joke, do not respond. Just look at them. Let the silence stretch until it becomes uncomfortable, and watch their face. That discomfort is not yours, it is theirs. And if you can hold it without flinching, you have just won a battle they did not even know they were fighting. Subscribe now. Because what comes next is the part that actually makes you dangerous, the protocol that combines Jung's shadow work with Gracián's strategic observation into a single system for detecting lies in real time. I call it the baseline method. If you click away before I show it to you, you are going to miss the most practical tool in this entire video. Hit the button. Let me tell you the truth about lie detection that nobody in the dark psychology space wants to admit. Micro-expressions are mostly mythology. I know, you have seen the videos, the TikToks about reading faces, the claims that you can catch a liar by watching their eyes move to the left or noticing when they touch their nose. It sounds scientific. It sounds like a superpower you can learn from a YouTube video. It is not. Paul Ekman, the researcher who popularized micro-expressions, has said it himself. There is no Pinocchio's nose, no single behavior that reliably indicates deception across all people and all contexts. Studies testing whether trained observers can detect lies through facial expressions consistently show accuracy rates barely better than chance. 54%. Flip a coin. The people selling you micro-expression courses are selling you false confidence. You will walk out believing you can read faces, and you will be wrong in ways that feel right. You will see tells that are not tells. You will accuse honest people and trust liars because they did not happen to display the arbitrary signals you were taught to look for. So how do people actually detect deception? The ones who are good at it, the interrogators, the negotiators, the rare individuals who can walk into a room and know when someone is lying, what are they doing that the rest of us are not? The answer is not micro-expressions. The answer is baselines. A baseline is the pattern of how someone normally behaves when they are relaxed and telling the truth, their typical speech rhythm, their normal eye contact, their default posture, the way their voice sounds when there is nothing at stake. And the key to detecting deception is not looking for specific signals, it is looking for deviation from baseline. Here is the protocol. Step 1. Establish the truth baseline. Before you ever ask a question that matters, you ask questions you already know the answer to. Simple things. What did you do this weekend? How was traffic getting here? Did you catch the game last night? You do not care about the answers. You are watching how they deliver truth. How fast do they speak? How much do they gesture? Where do their eyes go when they are accessing memory versus when they are constructing an answer? What is their default emotional temperature? You are mapping honesty, not because it is interesting, because lies only become visible when you know what truth looks like. Step 2. Ask the question that matters. Now you ask the real question, the one you actually need answered, and you watch not for specific tells but for deviation. Did the speech pattern change? Did they speed up or slow down? Did the eye contact shift? Did the posture close or open? Did the emotional temperature rise or fall in ways that do not match the content of what they are saying? A liar is not someone who touches their nose. A liar is someone whose entire behavioral pattern shifts when the topic becomes sensitive. The shift is the tell, not any specific behavior. The departure from baseline. Step 3. Trust the signal. Your body knows before your mind catches up. That sensation in your chest, that tightening in your gut, that feeling that something is wrong even when the words sound right. That is not paranoia. That is your nervous system detecting deviation from baseline before your conscious mind can articulate what it noticed. Most people override this signal. They have been trained to distrust it. They tell themselves they are being paranoid, reading too much into things, being too sensitive. The Machiavellian empath does not override the signal, they honor it. When the gut fires, they do not immediately act, they file it. They note the deviation. They watch for confirmation in subsequent interactions. They build a case over time instead of demanding certainty in the moment. And when the pattern is clear, when the same person has triggered the same signal in the same contexts multiple times, they act. Not from paranoia, from data. Step 4. Clean the lens. This is the Jung filter. Before you trust your read, you check your own psychology. Are you seeing clearly, or are you seeing what you want to see? Is your shadow providing cover for this person because they carry traits you have disowned? Are you overriding your gut because the truth would cost you something, a relationship, a job, an image you have of yourself or them? The most dangerous lies are not the ones delivered skillfully. They are the ones we unconsciously help succeed because seeing the truth would hurt too much. Clean the lens means asking yourself, what do I have invested in believing this person? What would I lose if they were lying? What part of me does not want to see what I am seeing? If you skip this step, your own shadow will keep doing the liar's work for them. Here is where I stop being educational and start being direct. If you take what I just taught you and use it to manipulate people, if you become the person deploying strategic deception against people who trust you, you have understood nothing. You have become the thing this video was built to defend against. The Machiavellian empath is not a predator with better tools. They are a protector with open eyes. The strategy is for defense. The cold observation is to prevent your warmth from being exploited. The moment you turn this outward as a weapon against people who are not attacking you, you have not become powerful. You have become the worst kind of coward, someone who uses psychological sophistication to abuse people who cannot see it coming. I have seen what happens when someone learns these skills and uses them for the wrong reasons. They become the very thing they were trying to defend against. They start seeing manipulation opportunities instead of manipulation threats. They treat every relationship as a chess game instead of a human connection. They win battles they did not need to fight and lose the capacity for genuine intimacy in the process. That is not power. That is a different kind of prison. Gracián wrote, "Be both the serpent and the dove. Cunning enough to protect yourself, innocent enough not to deserve attack." Notice what he did not write. He did not write, "Be the serpent only." He did not say, "Abandon the dove." He said, "Both." The cunning exists to protect the innocence. The strategy exists to preserve the warmth. The moment the serpent devours the dove, you have lost yourself in the process of defending yourself. The Machiavellian empath sees lies because they have to, not because they want to. They would rather live in a world where this skill was unnecessary, but they do not live in that world. Neither do you, and pretending you do is what got you hurt in the first place. Marcus Aurelius, writing 2000 years ago, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." I will add a line to that. The best defense is to see your enemy clearly, and you cannot see them clearly until you see yourself shadow and all. Think about who you will be a year from now if you apply this. You will walk into rooms and know things you cannot explain knowing. You will sense deception before it finishes forming. You will hear the lie underneath the words and the agenda underneath the smile. And you will not need to prove it. You will not need to confront it. You will simply know, and you will act accordingly, quietly, strategically, without drama and without explanation. People will start treating you differently, not because you announced what you learned, because they will sense that the old tactics no longer work. The buttons they used to push will no longer produce reactions. The vulnerabilities they used to exploit will no longer be visible. The manipulations they used to run will stop landing, and they will not know why. Some of them will leave your life. Good. Those were not relationships. Those were extractions. Some of them will start treating you with more respect. Also good. That respect was always available. They just did not think you required it. And some of them, the real ones, the ones who loved you properly all along, will still be there. And your relationships with them will be deeper because you finally know the difference between someone who earns your trust and someone who simply demanded it. Let me close with the most dangerous truth in this entire video. The person who has been manipulating you the most is not the narcissist in your life, not the covert predator at your job, not the family member who has been playing emotional chess with you for years. The person who has been manipulating you the most is you, your shadow, your projections, your refusal to acknowledge your own capacity for strategic self-interest, your acceptance of the lie that sensitivity is weakness, your willingness to override your own perception because someone told you it was too much. You have been gaslit into distrusting yourself. And the manipulators in your life only succeeded because your own psychology was holding the door open for them. I want you to understand what changes when you integrate this. The narcissist who used to destabilize you with a single comment will throw the same comment and watch it land on nothing. You will see it for what it is, a test, a probe, an attempt to locate your buttons, and you will give them nothing back. Not anger, not defense, not the emotional reaction they were counting on, just flat, calm observation, and they will not know what to do with that. The manipulator who used to get you to question your own perception will try the same tricks and find them suddenly useless. You will feel the reality distortion attempt, and instead of wondering if you are crazy, you will wonder what they are trying to hide. The frame has shifted. You are no longer the one being examined. They are. The person who used to drain you emotionally will discover that the endless supply of your energy is no longer available. Not because you became cold, because you finally understand that your warmth is valuable and not everyone deserves access to it. You will still be generous, but you will be generous strategically with people who have earned it, instead of reflexively with anyone who asks. This is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming complete, about reclaiming the parts of yourself you were told to throw away, about honoring the detection system you were trained to disable. The Machiavellian empath is not the opposite of who you are. It is the fullest version of who you are, sensitive and strategic, open and observant, warm and wise. The world does not need you to become cold. It needs you to become dangerous. Not dangerous to the innocent, dangerous to the ones who have been feeding on you. Dangerous to the manipulators and the liars and the predators who mistook your kindness for weakness. Let them make that mistake one more time, and let them discover what happens when sensitivity is no longer something to exploit, but something that sees them coming from a mile away. The Machiavellian empath closes that door, not by becoming someone else, by becoming complete, by integrating the shadow, by honoring the gut, by learning to see lies without needing to prove you saw them, by becoming the kind of person who can sit across from a liar and let them talk themselves into a corner while they think they are winning. You have the hardware. You always did. Now you have the software. The person who told you that you were too sensitive, picture their face one more time. Now ask yourself what they were getting away with when they said it, what your sensitivity almost caught them doing, what they needed you to stop noticing. That phrase was never a diagnosis, it was a disarmament, and you fell for it. You will not fall for it again. If this video rebuilt something in you, hit like, not for me, for the algorithm, so it reaches the man who still thinks his sensitivity is a defect instead of the most dangerous thing about him. And if you are still not subscribed, I genuinely do not know what you are waiting for. This is your cold awakening.